All right, so we've talked about how laws get made and how power is divided up, but today, let's get to the heart of it all. The big question is, how do you actually shape our own government using the rules laid out in the Constitution?
This right here, this is the core idea, the absolute foundation of our entire system. In a republic, the power comes from the people. And that's not just some nice-sounding phrase, right? It's the engine that makes the whole thing go. Elections, well, that's how we do it. That's the practical tool we use to make our voices heard, to influence policy, and to make sure our leaders remember who they work for.
Okay, so power from the people. Sounds great, but how does it actually work, day to day? Well, believe it or not, the Constitution gives us a pretty clear blueprint for how to turn that big idea into a real, functioning government. And that's exactly what we're going to dive into right now.
First up, Congress and the presidency. The blueprint for all this really starts in Article 1 of the Constitution. This is where we get the plan for Congress, and right away you see it's set up with two chambers. This wasn't an accident. It was a very deliberate design meant to balance a couple of really important ideas about what representation should be.
So you can almost think of it like this. The House of Representatives is designed for frequent public feedback. With 2-year terms, representatives have to stay super tuned into what their districts are thinking and feeling right now. The Senate, though, is a bit different. It's meant to ensure every single state, whether it's huge or tiny, gets an equal voice at the table. A really big change here was the 17th Amendment. Originally, state lawmakers chose senators, but that amendment put the power directly into the hands of the people.
So you might be wondering who's actually in charge of running the elections. And this is another one of those classic constitutional balancing acts. The Elections Clause basically says that states get to handle the details, the times, places, and manner. But Congress can step in if it needs to make sure the rules are fair for everyone across the country. It's this constant dance between local control and a national standard of fairness.
All right, now let's talk about the big one, electing the president. This is where that structure we just talked about plugs directly into the Electoral College. And the math for figuring out a state's electoral votes, it's surprisingly simple. You just take the number of representatives a state has in the House and add 2 for their 2 senators. That's it. That's the magic number.
Okay, so here's the part that sometimes trips people up. When you go to vote for president, you're not technically voting directly for your candidate. What you're really doing is voting for a group of people called electors who have pledged to vote for that candidate. Then, based on how the state's popular vote goes, the state officially sends those electors to cast the final votes. And as a side note, the process got a major tune-up with the 12th Amendment, which made sure the president and vice president were voted for separately to clear up some early election chaos.
But the story of representation in America isn't something that was set in stone from day one. Far from it. The Constitution provided the starting point, but the very definition of the people who get to participate has grown and evolved in huge ways over the centuries, mostly through constitutional amendments.
And here's a quick look at that journey. In the beginning, states had most of the power to decide who could vote. But over time, amendments were added to expand that right. We already mentioned the 17th, which let people vote for their own senators. And then there's the 26th Amendment, which lowered the voting age to 18. Each one of these was a huge step in making the promise of representation more real for more people.
Now, it's easy to get focused on the big national elections, right? But it's so important to remember that self-government isn't just something that happens in Washington, D.C. Actually, some of the most impactful decisions are made way, way closer to home.
Think about it. Your governor, your state representatives, local judges, even your city council and the school board. These are the folks making decisions that affect your daily life in a very real way. The roads you drive on, the quality of local schools, public safety, all of that is shaped at the local level. Participating in these elections is how we build our communities from the ground up.
And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? Civic engagement isn't a one-time thing. It's not just about showing up to vote every couple of years. It's an ongoing conversation. It's a responsibility. When we really dig in, learn about the issues, and vote based on our principles, we're doing more than just pulling a lever. We're actively shaping our communities and protecting our own freedoms.
Yeah, because self-government isn't something you just get handed down to. It's something you have to do. It's a practice. So let's make this real. Let's talk about what you can do, like this week, to put all of this into action. Here's a simple civic action plan. 4 steps. 1, just find out when your next local election is, put it on your calendar. 2, pick one candidate or one local issue and do a little research. 3, attend a local public meeting, or hey, just watch one online. You'd be surprised what you learn. And 4, talk to someone about what you found out. Simple, but incredibly powerful ways to get involved.
So, I want to leave you with this one big question to chew on. How does this whole system we've been talking about, from your city council all the way up to the president, how does it actually work to protect our liberty and promote justice? Really thinking about that. Well, that's the first step to truly understanding and being a part of this amazing experiment in self-government.